Are you thinking of moving to New Braunfels? Well, today I'm going to cover the true cost of moving to and living here in New Braunfels. I'm going to cover anything from housing, utilities, going to the grocery store, and so much more. So let's get started. Hello everyone, I'm Doug Vogel. I'm a real estate agent and a firefighter here in New Braunfels. If this is your first time visiting this channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button. I cover everything from living here, working here, playing here, you name it, I'll cover it. So New Braunfels is such a great place, and I get phone calls from people just like you wanting to move here and have questions about New Braunfels. So make sure you call me, text me, email, whatever works best for you. So now let's get started with everything that I'm going to cover. The secret's out about Texas. Texas is a great place to be at. There's so many large corporations moving here. The economy is strong. The housing market is strong. It's just a great place to be at. Of course, I'm a little partial. I live here in New Braunfels. And I get clients that are moving here and they're like, Doug, how much home can I afford? And that's the biggest question people have. It's, that's your biggest expense. So in New Braunfels, the median price home is about $270. You can find some surveys that say about $268, some up to about $274. So for this, we'll say about $270, and that'll get you a lot of home and nice home in a nice area. Now you can find some that are cheaper and definitely some more expensive. It just kind of depends. Here in New Braunfels, most of the growth is moving outside of the core of New Braunfels into newer areas. We have some on the east side, west side, north side, all around. So it just kind of depends on where you want to live and what kind of school district you want to be in too. We have 2 school districts, so that comes into play sometimes. Also, something else is we have homeowners associations. Most of the new subdivisions or developments are going to have a homeowners association. That can be about $300 to $600 a year on top of your normal payments. So that's something to keep track of as well. So New Braunfels is a great place to be. The question may be, well, I don't want to buy a home. I don't know where I want to live yet. I just want to rent. That's a great thing to do as well. So New Braunfels has a good rental market as well. If you're looking for like a clean 3-bedroom, 2-bath, that's probably about $1,500 a month or so. If you're looking for like a 4-bedroom, you're expected to pay about $1,650, $1,700 a month. So that cost can definitely add up, but don't look at renting as throwing money out the window. I tell my clients, I said, that you're just buying patience. That way you can know exactly where you want to live in New Braunfels or outside of New Braunfels, and you're really not committing yourself to more than just a few months of paying rent. So I highly suggest that for people that are just moving here, unless you've spent quite a bit of time here, or at least a little bit of time, you might want to rent, and I can definitely help you with that. Because there's some areas that you don't want to live at here in New Braunfels. When I talk to people moving here to New Braunfels, they often ask about the taxes. Well, Texas has no state income tax, which is good, but also one way we have to make up for that is having a property tax, and our property taxes are higher. For the most part, you can say New Braunfels is taxed at about 2.20%. Now, you can find some lower and some areas that are much higher than that. It just kind of depends. So with the higher property taxes, those taxes go to help pay for the teachers in the road schools and all that good stuff. So in my opinion, that's money that's being spent well. So we'll take care of those people. So even if you have a paid-for house, you're still going to have some taxes to pay for. So that's just one thing that you need to know before you purchasing here, is that your state income tax, or there is no state income tax, but we do have the property taxes that you need to deal with. Often get questions about the cost of utilities here in New Braunfels. Well, New Braunfels has 2 electric providers. There's one, New Braunfels Utilities, and a second one is Guadalupe Valley Electric Co-op, and or GVC. They're for the most part on the east side of 35, the east side part of town. New Braunfels Utilities, or NBU, pretty much handles a majority of town. So unlike other parts of Texas, you can't shop your electric providers. It's a commodity, but for some unknown reason, we can't choose who we want to buy electricity from. So that's definitely a con about New Braunfels. But for the most part, the rates are not too bad. Speaking of rates for electric, for the average home here in New Braunfels, it's about $150 or so, up to $200. It kind of depends on how cold you want to keep your home in the wintertime. If you like it cold like me, you're going to crank that AC down just a little bit, and so your electric bills can be higher. In the wintertime, it may be a little bit higher than average, but for the most part, our winters aren't too cold here. So, and it may be for a month or two, and then the bills will average out. Talking about water, anywhere from 50, 60 up to $100. It kind of depends on how much you water your yard, and how many people are in your house and stuff like that. So it's not too bad. MBU is for the most part the main water provider here in town as well. So that's definitely something that you need to know about. Is the utilities here in the Braunfels. Internet is probably $50-$60, and just for basic internet. You can go more if you want faster internet, stuff like that. But starting $50-$60 will get you a good internet provider and good service. Often get questions about food. What does it cost to eat here and shop here and stuff like that. And if you're like me, I like to eat out. My wife and kids and I, we go to several restaurants here in the Braunfels and outskirts as well. And it can get expensive. I have 4 kids that are always hungry, and so if you want to have a good meal, entree is going to cost you probably $10 to $15 a person. And of course, if you have older kids, they're going to eat off the adult menu, so that can start adding up as well. So, of course, we have all the fast food places as well. But if you want a good sit-down restaurant, expect to pay at least $10 to $15 or more per entree. So, speaking of food, we have one main grocery store here in New Braunfels, and that's called HEB. They're Texas owned and started right here in Texas, so they pretty much dominate New Braunfels. We have 3 of them here in New Braunfels. We do have a smaller grocery store called Handy Andy, which is a great little place to dart into right in the middle of town if you need something small. But for the most part, most of the shopping is done at HEB. So, of course, we do have your Walmart as well if you need to do some other kind of shopping. If you're like me, you like to be outside and enjoy the pretty days here in New Braunfels. Well, New Braunfels has so much to do that is free. Anything from the parks, like right here, Landa Park, where I'm doing this video, is an awesome park. It has a lake and lots of trails and just beautiful scenery. So there's so much to do here in town that doesn't cost you anything. So I know that's a kind of a broad stroke of the cost of living here in New Braunfels, and anything from the food and living here, utilities, all that good stuff. New Braunfels is such a great town, and that's why I love to work here and be here. So if you have any questions or comments, make sure you leave them below. I'd be happy to get back with you. If you're again thinking of moving here, reach out to me, and I'd be happy to give you some pointers and some direction on the great things here to do in New Braunfels.